record on this computer.
Recording in progress.
All right. Mhm.
I think it is recording already. Great. So Grace, for us to have this recorded. Do you agree in having this, in participating in this recording and having this recording available in our project and being streamed in streaming platforms for podcasts?
Of course, I agree.
Great, great. So, let's start by introduction of yourself. You can start talking a little bit about yourself, like what do you do, how's your life right now. You
Well,
can just share, and also like your nationality.
yeah, since I'll present a little bit of the beginning. I'm from Brazil, same country as Raquel, right? Um, and I'm 39 years old with an 18 years old boy. I'm living in America 3 years. So I arrived here February 7th, 2020, just inside the pandemic. When I arrived at the airport, everybody asking, oh, have you ever been in China? I'm like, is this kind of a joke? I don't watch TV. I don't have TV at home. So I'm like, I've been in Chile, but not China. I could never imagine what I was about to, right? What was just in front of me or what I would leave with my kid. And I was just arriving in New York to live forever. That is my intention. That was my intention. I hope God bless everybody, but whatever. So I was very scared, by what I was facing. I could never believe that, um, but anyway, that was the thing. And all the troubles started already in the airport because, believe it or not, my international credit card didn't pass to ask Uber. And then right there, I discovered that yellow cabs were cheaper than Uber. First challenge right there. So I moved here with my son. I'm F1 visa. My son is F2, my dependent, 18 years old now. But when we arrived, he had just turned 15. No, actually, he was 14 still. He just turned 18 now. I'm not good in math, so. But it was very challenging because once we finish the F1 process in Brazil and then you arrive here, it's completely different. And I did everything myself. I never had help from any agency or, those people that sometimes they do have help. Like they hire somebody to do all the process, not me. I learned and I studied, I went deep into the things. And that's why I think this podcast or this YouTube, whatever it is, it's so important because everybody can learn from our mistakes or from what we did right, as soon as our intentions are also to help others, right? So and we need to be very clear and transparent and tell all the problems as well, because that is what connects, it's not the beautiful stories right now that you see this background here and these things. No. When I arrived, it was a mess. Many problems, It started because, you can carry only 10,000 arriving to America. And that for one person, and I'm not cheap at all. So one person, fine. But for a kid and me to leave and to rent an apartment, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Crazy.
so, and it started, I started in a hotel, very fancy, beautiful, right? Dear, I jumped to Airbnb because I could not rent nothing, and when I was checking about rentals and everything, oh my gosh, I thought it would be much easier. I had no idea what I would face. But so I started in a hotel. I jumped to Airbnb and I couldn't rent nothing. I jumped to a hostel, YMCA. I'm very grateful, but I had, oh my God, the backstage, and every day going to mass, praying for God, asking him, to help him and help, because I was so afraid. I took my son out of a country that we had a great life, a beautiful family, right? And I was always alone because I used to raise him in a big city. So no help from my family and no help from his father's, his parents. I mean, his grandfathers, grandparents as well. But it was completely different because his father at least was in the same city that I used to live in here I he was alone. And plus I told him, go to this English class, because I already spoke English a little bit, because if you see my mistakes, my grammar mistakes now, dear, when I arrived here was even worse. So Raquel, I want to hear your laughs, please, so allow your mic all the time. I love it.
Of course. Oh my God. Like I do that for the recording, for the quality of the recording, but I know what you're talking about too. I have experienced the same thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I told him, oh, go to the English class. And he said, oh, mom, I'm so tired. I said, oh, really? So, as soon as I decided to move, and why I decided to move, I stopped another business that I had with my ex-business partner that, he was, when I saw a lot of difference between our ethical way of, move on at the company, I said to myself, Grace, it's time to stop this thing and, start something brand new. But I thought I could do it. But once you are already here, it's very hard to jump to this way, unless you are in another country and you don't have a plan B to follow. That was, my strategy. But then I had to start in Brazil still. So I started a cleaning company, and one day two people didn't show up, and I told my son, Gustavo, let's go, let's help me, because we got to do it, because everybody was watching me as an owner of the company. So I could not say, oh, I'm sorry, today two people did not show up, sorry. You got to do what you got to do. And Gustavo said to me that time, Mom, I feel shame, I'm so sorry, I feel shame, to go. And I said, nobody will not even know that you are you, because of the uniforms, the hat, everything. And he said, I'm sorry. I said, I do understand your heart. I deeply understood him at that time. And I said, but can you imagine for mama with MBA, ex entrepreneur, is restarting again, ex executive of Santander Bank, all my background, all the mascara that we put to other people, right? So they can think, oh, she's big, but and what? Big, and what is important is to pay your bills, honor your principles, and go do what you need to do at that moment, because there is a reason for all the ups and downs. So, but at that day, I made a decision. That day, I saw that I taught him my best, but I made many mistakes as a parent. So I said, all right, let's start in another country. For that happened, I came here showing him how was New York, as a tour visit. And he said, Mom, it's too fast. I can't stop even to take a picture. And I was deep in my heart, that's exactly what he needs. Because I can't with people slow, even people that talk slow, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Let's speed this for 2 times or something. So it was very hard, because number one, he didn't talk the language. And but once we moved here, all the time he said, Mom, please go there, you. I said, no, 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 you had your chance in Brazil to learn the language. I made many things for you in there. Now you show me that what you can do. So here was a very different thing. Plus, all the situations that when an immigrant arrives, we got to do. Number one, about the school, right? So we have different people, new people to meet, and different accents. My God, remember all our friends that they used to,
Yeah.
especially people from France. My God, and no, and those Japanese people, their English is very different, So it was so beautiful. But then everything locked down with all the challenges. So at that time, I could rent finally a place that was furnished, um, and I could have a place to live, but still bring in money from Brazil. And because everything was locked down, and what, right? So we went. We continued to study the English, and then I finally could, find an agency that I could finally um, try to get some money, because F1 cannot work here, so you face that problem as well. Um, and then
Yes.
it started getting like a little bit calmer. But and then I asked somebody to help my son to put the settings in an app, and this person that I thought was a very good one, and principles and values, um he started another type of settings that as soon as I figured out what he did, I said, Gustavo, stop it right there. We will only do what is right, only the right thing. Because, I don't know if you know these apps that, you need some sort of documentation to put it in. And then, as soon as this guy was helping my kid, that is a minor, he had no, he didn't understand the rules, what is right and wrong. And so he delivered something like 3 weeks in that thing. But as soon as I figured out what it was about, that it wasn't at his right, his details at the app, I said stop it. So yeah. And then this girl came back from Brazil and I had to leave the apartment, and I was trying to find another place. At the same time, I was trying to run um, to open a truck business because I met somebody at that time that, I had some money to invest. And I'm like, all right, I need to make money. Let's try something. At the meantime, I went to Costco and I bought many ingredients to make hamburgers and to sell hamburgers. And that day, I discovered something in my personality that I could never imagine, that I'm very shame. And I could never imagine me, Rachel, that, oh, Grace Kelly, shame? Dear, you have no idea. It was so hard.
I remember that story. I remember we were kind of neighbors, right? And
Yeah.
I used to live near Costco as well. And I remember the day that you told me, you know what? I'm gonna sell hamburgers. I think that you said something like that. And then you said, oh, I discovered that I'm super like I don't have this
Talent.
skill of like only like approaching people and selling selling these hamburgers. But you had the gut to do it, and I was really impressed with your idea of doing it.
Oh my God. I remember calling Gustavo and I said, Gustavo, I discovered something horrible about me. He said, what is it? I said, I'm so ashamed. I could not believe that I'm so ashamed. Oh my God. It was challenged. So, and then, I studied the numbers about the truck business. Gustavo was going with the person, checking all the backstage. I went to XPO2. I went to Amazon office, and I could see that here, my love, there are mafia too, but the mafia here is much more organized. You know, if you want to go like first as a truck, like somebody to load your truck and then you go to make deliveries faster. Do you think it's only in Brazil that, they, oh, here, 200 per week if you put me ahead of the others? Here it exists too. So I was like, oh my goodness. And, plus I told the guy that I was about to go business with that I was not available as woman. And he kind of mixed the feelings, right? Which is a little bit easy. And but at that time I had no other choice because this woman from Brazil came back and I had to go for his house to live there like 5 days until I could find another apartment. And I was crazy finding apartments. Do you remember, Rachel, at the class? And I said, oh, now I'm jumping in a
Yes, I remember.
I'm
Oh my
jumping in a
god.
train to go to see another apartment. But thank God, God was so nice that the one apartment that I loved, that was 4G unit at 120 West 105th Street, somebody got rented and I couldn't rent it at that time. But then I went there again. I had the Holy Spirit voice, go there, check the key. And the keys were right there. And so I called the office. Hey, you said you rented this unit, but the keys are here. What's going on, really? He said, oh, Grace, you know what? The rental didn't went through. So would you like to rent? I said, yeah, for today. He said, yeah, put the application, deposit the money. Tomorrow you can move in. Rachel, I had only one rug, a blue one that a guy, the same guy that lended a bike for Gustavo to make the deliveries, and then Gustavo gave the bike back, right? Is an American great person. Um, so he gave me this rug, this big rug, and that was the beginning. So I rent the apartment with, I went there only with my 6 or 7 bags, luggage, plus this rug that, thank God, I bring from Brazil my trousseau, duvet, and comforter, so and sheets, so we could sleep at the rug And I never slept so happy in my whole life, because the day before, the guy tried something with me, you know, and I was very clear, and he was like yelling at me. Of course, I was in his house for favor 5 days because I couldn't rent nothing. So thank God that day I said, thank you, I'm very grateful, but you will never see me again or my son. So thank God I could rent that space. And right there I started renting Airbnb. As soon as I could buy the first mattress, I rented the other room for Airbnb, and we used to sleep at the rug for, well, I don't know, I think maybe 2 months or 3 months. So for everybody else the house was fine, but not for us, because we knew the truth. And I used to lock my room, to make money, and to teach Gustavo how to host people, how to make money,
Of
how to be,
course.
because nothing comes from nowhere. And of course I could bring my money from Brazil, but you know what, I wouldn't make the mistake again to spoil my kid because I came to this country exactly to show him that one day on top, one day on the floor, but never treat nobody the way you don't want to be treated, because everybody has the same heart, same life, same blood, same feelings. So yeah, that was basically the story until, and at that time I was waitressing, because you gotta do something to make money. And as a parent, and I had no help from his father, so he was not supporting him or me. I never. So I was waitressing, and believe it or not, when you are a waitress and you are honest, and I was always that way. So I conquered everybody. I said, "Listen, my name is Grace Kelly. I don't have experience in this thing. So if you see me doing some mistakes, please let me know, because I want to please you, right? And I want to do the best for you." Oh my goodness! And I record everybody's name in my brain, so I knew their family, I knew their kids, I called them by name. So we became like friends, and they used to love me. So, and then guess what, the tips are higher and higher and higher. So that's how I could save my money. And then I saw somebody that also, an ex-boyfriend from Brazil, that is married, very fine person. I will never forget his name. His name is Francisco de Paula. He told me out of nowhere, "Grace, I had a dream with you tonight, and God told me that I will visit you in your mansion in New York." At that day, I was very depressed. Still, like waking up at 5 a.m., having my mentoring from Pablo Marçal that I used to do. I always love mentoring things. And, I kind of cried at that time, because I was like, really? How? He never he never spoke with me again. Very respectful person. And out of nowhere, he said that. So I was like, "Grace Kelly, believe, you're in the right path. Don't judge yourself too much." So, um, and then he told me, "Follow this person here." His wife worked with me in, it's like a real estate thing in Goiânia. So she's married to this guy that knows a lot of auction and properties. He buys properties in auction, and then he sell it in a regular price. So I followed her, Alini, and then I saw her husband, what he was doing. And then I bought the course. I started, studying the thing. I bought my first property in auction. And then he called me. He said, "Grace, you want to make part of the mentoring thing?" I said, "Yes, of course." I said yes, but I didn't know the cost of it. It was like 2,000 per month. And I was still, it's still going. Oh my
Ready.
goodness.
Okay.
Rachel, I was like, what? When he told me 2,000, I couldn't refuse. I said already yes. I said, "Okay, so let's find out how we will do it," because I was saving money for something else, because I wanted to leave that apartment only for Airbnb and rent another one for us. I was kind of thinking, all the type of business. And then,
Of course, yeah. Can you explain a little bit how the auction business works?
of
Like,
course,
uh,
yeah,
yes.
it is basically when people don't pay their taxes. Taxes here are very important. When they don't pay the taxes, the mortgage, of building, or, let's say in a vacant lot, it can go for a while, but then, after a period of time, it goes back to the bank and then to the county. So, and we have many type of auction, delinquent It's a lot of detailed auctions that you gotta be very careful and look for all the details, because then you can buy some property that has a lot of lien on it. So it's a lot of tricky things. But basically, when somebody don't pay the taxes, that property returns to the county, to a specific well, it goes to the county. It's just to find like a tax deed auction, county, whatever you leave or whatever you're finding. And so I started with vacant lots because that's what I could afford at that time, right? um and then this guy told me, Grace, you gotta build a company, because a lot of people, they need a list filtered. So I hired people in Brazil. I taught them how to find properties, and I was selling the list already done. Because once you call the county, let's say you want an auction in Albany, let's say Albany, hey, I want the list of this auction, because sometimes they do have an online list and sometimes they don't have the online list. You got to go there to check it out. Or sometimes you got to make a huge research at the clerk's office. So it depends what type of auction do they have or do they offer. Um, for example, Wayne County, that is, the place that I do have a lot of properties in there. So the type of auction that they offer is in person. So, and you gotta visit, check if they have sewer, if they have water, how is the process, because it's a lot involved. And then you can buy something that is, you think is good, but in fact it's not good, because then you have a huge HOA to pay year per year, whatever. So it's a lot in between, but basically that's how it works.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. You can continue the story.
Yeah. So and then I decided to move from the older apartment to a new one, that is this building that I live now. So because then I could leave that one only for Airbnb, because with Airbnb at the beginning is okay, it's fun, you like to host people, but at the end, I was like, my things getting better, and my clothes, and I was kind of afraid, to receive people and my son in there alone, those things. So I decided to move and stay with only the auction things. At that time, I had like many contracts, many people that needed the filtered list, because when you call the county, the list sometimes like 1,000 properties. And guess what? You got to make a filter. You got to check, is this property in a good, in a good place? Is this property has neighbors? Because if they don't have neighbors, it's complicated, because then you don't know the market, if the market is good or not, if you'll get stuck about selling the property, if you can make money or not. Plus you got to send somebody, if you're not in the place, an Uber or something, to check and take a picture for you. If the property has a lot of rocks, you will have troubles, unless the person is an architect and can do a beautiful job. If the property has a lot of trees, so things that you got to be careful. And this filtered list, of course, if they were in Brazil, you would say, oh, how do they make this research so filtered? So there are different type of properties, type A, type B, type C. And the C1 is the worst. So like no neighbors, not a good place, or maybe there is no pavimentation, no street, something like that. The type B is kind of, you don't have neighbors, but it has a street, it's pavimented, it has a street on it, you have a way to go in, but it's like a desert place, so you don't really know how the market will operate. And type A is when they have two neighbors around, or at least one. Then you know that that is a good place, and you can at least sell that property to that neighbor, through a letter saying, explaining, creating a story, or showing them the opportunities that they have buying that type of piece, of land by their side. Because once the person could not pay the taxes, they don't go saying to everybody, hey, I'm in troubles financially, I would you like to buy my place? No, they hide, because that is difficult for them to carry. They could not afford the taxes because of a reason. It's not because they wanted to postpone it, right? So and then I moved here, and I kept both things running, but then it became very difficult for me because Airbnb, it's okay, but it's not a big money, and it's a lot of troubles because you got to solve it right there. And so my son could not handle himself, and and it was little money for a lot of headaches. I said, no, I give up this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I kept only the auction stuffs, and I do have some people that are investors, and I search buildings for them nowadays, and then I train their people. Oh, you gotta do this. This is what you gotta do next, and then I do my job. I charge my fees because nothing is for free, and then that's how I operate until now.
Wow, what a journey. Oh my God. You started as an English student and now you're a business. You already was a businesswoman in Brazil. So you came here and you started from scratch and evolved all this journey. And I'd like to know a little bit like why New York?
Oh,
Why the
number
US and why New York?
I love English. My name Grace Kelly. So here, everybody talks my English, my name properly. Nobody calls me as in Brazil, Grace Kelly or Gracie. I hate it. I don't like it. When people want to call me Grace Kelly. Sometimes they say, "How do you prefer to be called, Grace or Kelly?" I said Grace Kelly. So, but how do I? It's like, don't you understand? You just asked me. So my name is double name. So call me proper. But right now, I don't care because as soon as they say Grace, I'm fine too because the accent, the way they talk is fine for me. I love New York, and I speak also Spanish. This way, as you can see, not perfect, but I can communicate very well. Everybody can understand me. That's what I'm saying. Not very well in the meaning
Mhm.
of perfection, but and also French and a little bit Italian. So I love, and I can't have slow people in my side. Sorry. When I go walking, if the person is in front of me, I just do like, at the bike when you go to DMV or to driver license, something.
Yes.
And at the end, very end, you got to do this with the hand. When I'm walking, I do, and if I'm going straight, I do this. If I'm turning this way, I do this. And then the person in front of me gotta like run because I don't have the patience with slow people. I almost stop and say, listen, you don't know what you're doing, right? So do you need help? I can life coach you. I'm a life coach. I can help you with that. It's like I don't have patience. And yeah, I love the city. Before, when we came just to visit, I thought, oh, these people are really, fast. But now it's like, oh my God, let's do it much more, get like better. Oh my God. So I love here. That's
Oh, so you had experience of coming before as a tourist.
I bring Gustavo
Yeah.
here August 2019 because I went to Date of Destiny, Tony Robbins event in December. And then, that kind of changed me in many ways. I was engaged to be married, and then I said to the Japanese that I was dating at that time, "Oh, would you like to live in the United States? Let's move. It would be a good experience for Gustavo." Then he said, "No, we sent Gustavo alone." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm not prepared for that." So I broke up the relationship. That wasn't a whatever, wasn't it going on, and I thought I wouldn't make him very happy at that time. And yeah, so I came here to show Gustavo how New York was, even though because I met a coach that helped me to charge my phone at that time, and nobody helps you in this type of big events because it can be risky. He used to live in Long Island, like Coram, Long Island. It's like still New York, but it's like far. It's like 2 hours from here. And he
Yeah.
said, Grace, come to visit New York and then come some days here too. So I went there, and he had kids. I thought it would be a good experience for Gustavo. Start talking English, start seeing how the language is, and I could check his heart because I was respecting him because I was very clear with him, his father, his family. My family, of course, knew already my intentions, but he needed to decide with me. He needed to be very consciousness of everything we would go through. Otherwise, You can imagine as a teenager, it's not easy, when I rented the first place that the lady came back from Brazil, Gustavo couldn't understand her intentions for real and how she did not respect the time and something. And I could not at that time explain very deep for Gustavo what was really going on. And he said, Mom, no, he said to her, if you accept me, I'll live with you. And my mom can move. Can you imagine? So thank God at that time, that friend that I had, he told Gustavo, do never change your mom for nobody. Nobody that would never die for you, would never take a bullet for you, because you don't understand it now, but soon you will. And so that was only one of the challenges that I had of so many, you know. But
My God, so many challenges. Yeah.
yeah, and when I moved, I was doing the Airbnb thing and waitressing, and he was partying or something, and I thought he was with weird people around, people that came from not came from like broken families, and it's not easy to. I told Gustav, you gotta find friends that are in the same level as you are, because even that I'm a broken family too, because I don't have a husband. I do my best for Gustav, and my principles and values are kind of stable. And then I told him, you gotta have better friends. If you don't have, we will do the Bible study. That's when the Bible study came in our life, and it was very, very important. I had people that used to live close to me, and we used to study the Bible like 3 times a week. That is so important, like to have some sort of help, spiritual help, that came in the right time of my life, because I was very religious, but I was never this way. I talk straight to God today, and when I'm feeling sad, or oh God, I feel like a failure because I don't have my family, I don't have my husband yet, I don't have my kids that I dream of, I'm not rich yet, so what do I have nothing. But then God showed me, oh, you have a beautiful relationship with your kid that not everybody can do that, and you started another life in another country. So plus, between all of this, the same person that was my mentor for auction, I told him, because I was getting in troubles to get the EIN number for my company, because you got to understand, F1 visa, when you come just to study, you don't have the social security number, and without this, you can't do anything here. So I tried the IT number, watching many videos in YouTube that they said, oh, it's just do this, do that. I tried the first year. I thought I just arrived, so I don't have a tax return to show them. But then they rejected, saying that I needed a tax return to show them. The second time I tried, I had an accountant that helped me, and he put 2 reasons that could not happen. So they rejected me again, but they gave me a bill to pay, because I showed them that I was making money with Airbnb. Of course, I had, everything that I did. I put on the papers, and I paid the taxes that, you know. So and then that same person, he told me, Grace, open your company through LegalZoom, and instead of Social Security, put your phone number and then call them and say you don't have, and then the Social Security, and then ask them to put the EIN. And at that time, I was so straight right that I was refusing even to do that. You understand? And he told me, Grace, if you do everything right, listen to me, it will take longer. I was like, all right, let me try this. And then I tried, and finally I could have the EIN. But then he told me as well, you have a lot of experience. Why don't you try the EB2 and IW green card? I said, yeah, I went to so many lawyers, but they told me the easier way, even that I went with my son by my side. And I said, I never get married, even loving nobody. So I can't, give him a bad example, and I just want to do the right thing. And all of them, they never saw my curriculum, or they never asked me what was, my experience in Brazil, whatever. all of them just said the easier way is getting married. But that, since the beginning, I said it's not an option. I will not do that for business. And I would not, start a relationship. And I was already in a relationship at that time. I could, I could like rush or something. I never, I asked God, God, take care of me, my heart, whatever. And then he told me there is this lawyer. Try to talk with him. He might help. So I spoke with that lawyer, and he told me, Grace, you're not average person. You're very different. You're far of average, and you have all the 7 criterias that EB2 and IW, that is the national interest waiver, needs to be fulfilled. And then we can build your case. We can do it together. I said, really? He said, really? So that we started, and then I had like the letters of recommendation of everybody. And what's really funny is that I left all my things in Brazil, all my documentations, all my contracts with my mom. But my mom had never made um she never made like a contract for a company, so she didn't know what it looks like. So she couldn't find the contracts that I really needed. And thank God, at that time, my ex-business partner, I left like millions at the table because I helped, to finish a contract between the 2 biggest cities in Minas Gerais. That was, without my help, he would never have, So because nobody believed in him, but everybody believed in my face, because my face was like right and wrong, black and white. And everybody would look at him and say, "Oh no, this is black, but it can turn gray, it can turn purple," something like that. Those type of people that are very commercial, and nobody trusts for real in them. But he was very talented. So we did the deal. We made it happen. But that was a person that I put all my money that I had from that I received from Santander Bank, and I invested everything. So we had also a relationship, but he cheated on me, and I got like a naked woman in his bedroom. It was so hard for me. And I had to stay in this company to take my money back for more 2 years and a half, about almost 3 years. And at the end it was hurting me deeply. It was you have no idea how it was for me. So instead of try one more time, ask God's help, and do it until this contract, the final contract that was 6 million, and another one 4 million, that I would receive 450,000 per month during 4 years at least. Because this type of product, we used to sell software for city halls, and it would renew after 4 more years. But instead of waiting 2 months more, or 1 month and a half, actually, I said I quit. And he never honored with me, like, giving me the money that was my right. And in my brain is like, if somebody has the consciousness that, oh no, I don't need to give this money, who am I, to say something different? And everybody else, even the owner of the company that we used to represent selling these softwares for the city halls, he told me, Grace, if you want to go to court, I'll go with you. I said, no, no, no. He taught me much more things during this experience and this mistake, because I was very naive as well. More, he taught me more than I lost. So we never lose. We either learn or we win. And I took that, and but it was very hard to swallow all that, lack of emotional intelligence, that if I had 1 month more, I could be very well, for many other months. So that guy, because I never put him on court, I needed him, because guess what? My mom could not find the contract to give me. And I needed to prove, that I was earning more than average people in Brazil. I had to prove many, many city halls that I sold the software for them. And I had to prove that, I was receiving much more than average people, and that they had to write letter of recommendation to me. And those 3 years that you have 10 years to prove experience were very important. So I had to get in touch with this guy again. And he said, Grace, I'll do everything for you. What do you need? So he had to reprint the same contract. I said, oh, my mom cannot find it. So he did it. He reprinted, he sent me the letter of recommendation. And right there, I saw why I was so blessed that God made me not put him on court. If I did, I might, you know,
You would have you will have this chance. You will have
exactly.
this chance.
So,
Yes.
all the time, be grateful for your ups and your downs because you never know what tomorrow will bring to you. I'm not saying, that my life would be easier or more difficult, but what I'm saying is I could feel how God was with me all the time. And because of those things that, everything that happened, because then it's like the letters of recommendation. Of course, I got my Santander people that worked with me, the directors, the managers, that I got much more than needed, because I'm like that. I seek perfection. Even that, it's hard to have. But um I had, to have everybody that was involved, and one thing leads to other, because, the letter of recommendation says, "Oh, I met Grace Kelly through this person. His name was Dalton, and she was introduced as a this way, that way. Oh, she bring this type of result that we never had before. So through that, I can guarantee that she is, a person that is." That has exceptional abilities to live in United States, those type of things that they are really strong when you're building your green card case. So long story short, I got my green card in November, and so now everything is coming. So, and that time too, that I was about to ask the third time IT number, something, the Holy Spirit again in my ear. No, don't need to try it. And I waited, and my case was, so my lawyer put my green card case on September, and I got approved November 9th. And I received my work permit authorization, social security number, advance parole to travel overseas very quickly. So God works
It's
in
amazing.
in different ways that we cannot explain sometimes. And guess what? I could tell my son, the price you got to pay to have the green card with me is never sell your heart for no money. Do only what is right. Go to the most difficult way that God will be with you, and you will be very successful, because once we do that, nobody can take it from us, right? So that's the story.
Wow, that's the story. Actually, like this conversation, this interview, the idea is having you sharing your story, and it was a long journey and many challenges. So I really wanted you to like, what like recommendations would you give for a person coming to New York as an English student, like based on your experience?
Number one, never forget who you are, because you are God's image, and you are powerful. You are already. You have already everything inside of you. Number two, do never stay with people with poor mentality, poor mindset. And believe me, when you come to this country and you put your needs first, oh my God, starting for yourself, because your brain will be very tricky with you. Your brain will say, no, this is what you need to do, and it's fine. Finally, you are okay. You can pay your bills, so stay there. No, no, no. When it's starting to be comfortable, go for another environmental, another people. It's time to move on. Never stay in a comfortable place, because it's just like a frog in a warm water until he cannot see the water boiling. Number three is, put yourself in a challenge all the time, especially be the most stupid at the table. If you are the smartest with the wrong, you are with the wrong people. But to put yourself in there, you got to challenge yourself. Are those days that, even that you don't have the money, to go to very fancy or beautiful places, or places that very successful people go, like clubs. New York has a lot of clubs that only members can go. Even that you don't have the money, go there to drink a water, but stay there, because the opportunities come for people that are in the right place at the right time. And dress yourself as you don't know what can come to you. Do not dress, oh no, this is okay. Never be okay. Put yourself higher, and think as an extraordinary person, because if you don't put yourself like that, everybody else will put you down. And you are the person who needs to say to you in the mirror, I am perfect. I am God's image. God loves me, and I love myself too. I'm confident. And if you don't do that to you, nobody else will. And yeah, that's, I think I was with the I let this environmental like drain me a little bit, but thank God, I put myself in another position just in time, but I took too long. So today, if I could return, I would leave the waitressing thing much earlier. I would do different things. I would try the ZB2 and IW as soon as I came here, because I knew I wasn't an average person. But guess what? I needed somebody to remind me who I really was, and I'm very grateful for him. I paid like 12,000 for the mentoring thing until I stopped it, but it was worth it because he reminded me who I was, and I forgot because I was facing so many challenges. One day my son wanting to arrive from a party, and I said no, don't go. He said too much in my brain. I said okay, you can go, but arrive 1:30. I will never forget. I had to wake up 5:36 because I had to take 3 trains and a bus to go to the restaurant I used to be waitress. And Gustavo didn't arrive at 1:30. He arrived like 3:30 or 4 at the morning. And that day I saw, that I had to change. And I could not be, oh no, he needs, to have fun. No, no, no. That day I saw my mistake again. So, and but sometimes when you're inside the problem, you can see. So you need better people with the same values and principles. And last but not least, be careful who you let come in your life. And that is very, very, perhaps that's what I learned the most. Pick the people to be in your life, very, but very precise. If they don't have the same values and principles, and that because Holy Spirit tells you right there, giving you peace. Oh, this person nice, you can go. Oh, this, ask yourself what this person made me feel. Because if that person made you feel, sad, or you're not sure, or then don't go right there. Because once you let somebody come in your life, to let it go is hard. And God only gives you what you can handle. So, be very grateful for all the downs you're having. Something better is coming, but be grateful. And if you cannot see, and if you're, going through a lot of pain, think first, like, God, thank you, thank you. Like Tuesday, I had a very sad moment, and I was like, God, thank you. You're showing me something else, but please open my eyes, my heart, my everything, to see it faster, to see what else do I need to improve, because I'm not also perfect. So, don't let your ego say, oh, you're perfect, everybody else is a problem. But also be careful who you let in your life, and then you can put yourself so down, then can be that they can be something. So it's a very tricky thing. So all the time, know who you are, be with the best people, love who you have around you, and let be loved. Do not sell yourself short for nothing, no reason, because everything has a price. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this interview, Grace.
No.
I hope that we can continue our contact constantly. I will always feel very inspired when I talk with you, and I think that your advices are going to be very useful for many students coming to New York, to becoming actually way more than they expect when they come to this city to start a new life. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. I admire you a lot too, You were all the time that, I met Rachel, for those who don't know, here at the school, studying English. And I saw right there that she was out of the box, thinking. And her brain and mindset was very, um, you shine and you have something, another light inside of you that we share, about I still have the books you gave me, so we have the same spiritual thinking, but I could see it right there through your questions, right? Smart people, they do deep questions, or they think different. And I admire you because you never stop too, and you're doing your master, right? It's
Yes,
yeah.
masters.
And
Digital humanities.
yeah, congratulations, because not a lot of students, they know their way, they go only for the right thing. And yeah, I admire you as a woman, as a person, and God bless you, dear.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop now. I hope that recording stopped. Will be converted. Great. So, uau, que massa! Eu adorei a entrevista. Eu tive uma sacada que é o seguinte: o meu projeto ele tem que ser baseado basicamente nessa jornada, que é essa jornada quando a pessoa chega, porque eu acho que é isso, assim, a maioria da galera que vem internacional como estudante aqui, na verdade, vem para recomeçar, para ter um novo episódio na vida, né?
Alguma coisa a pessoa
E
está
esse
buscando para
início,
mudar, né?
exato, e esse início dessa jornada, ela é geralmente muito turbulenta, e ela é muito, assim, ups and downs. Então, por isso que, assim, eu resolvi, na nossa conversa, não fazer basicamente perguntas, só deixar você contar a sua história e dar um conselho para a galera. Dar um conselho para a galera. Eu, inclusive, tive esse insight. Eu vou mudar um pouquinho o meu... Porque das entrevistas, o que acontece? Eu já fiz um teste lá atrás, que foi em 2021. Eu fiz um teste, só que eu fiz um trabalho de pesquisa mesmo. Não foi esse tipo de... Não era para fazer um podcast, era para fazer uma pesquisa. Então, eu tinha um roteiro, eu foquei muito nessa questão da experiência na sala de aula, aquela coisa assim. E isso já não é mais esse contexto, né? A ideia é pegar essas histórias. E eu acho que essa jornada da vida, que você, quando chega no país, e principalmente você tem a intenção de ficar, né? E não, você veio para estudar inglês, na verdade, porque era ao mesmo tempo que tem essas necessidades da língua, é uma coisa que é, porque eu visto.
Eu vinha porque, na verdade, era o mais em conta que tinha para que eu mudasse, né, Raquel? Se eu ficasse...
É a mesma coisa do meu caso.
Se eu ficasse esperando... Agora aqui, ó, é porque eu não sabia, na verdade, o meu potencial para poder fazer a mudança lá. É o que eu ajudo hoje várias pessoas. Eu estou ajudando a Dani, que é uma psicóloga maravilhosa, minha amiga, conheço de princípios e tudo mais. O Gabriel, que é meu sócio na agência de marketing digital aqui, que eu nem mencionei, porque, enfim, não veio ao caso, né? Ali, eu poderia ter falado também, mas não deu. Então, assim, sabe? Porque se eu soubesse que tinha, sabe, como, né? Desde que botou o pé aqui, já começar... eu teria ido por esse lado. Eu já sabia, eu tinha estudado sobre o EB2NW, só que eu tudo pegava assim, não, eu tenho que fazer. Quando eu cheguei aqui, eu entrei nessa coisa de execução tão ágil, tão, sabe, rápida e ágil, que aquilo te engole com as necessidades que você tem naquela hora para realizar. E isso
Exato.
é, assim, é o que a pessoa mais tem que tomar cuidado, porque se você está sendo engolido, mas você está num meio que é de gente muito boa, ok. Aonde eu estava, as pessoas não conseguiam entender como o meu pensamento era aquele, por que eu estava trabalhando daquela forma, ninguém acreditava. Só que por isso que rapidinho eu comecei a ajudar na contratação, na demissão. O restaurante estava fechado, eu enchi o restaurante muito rápido, porque eu tinha todos os números de celulares, porque eu via aquela listagem de Covid que eles tinham deixado lá, então eu tinha salvado tudo, porque eu tinha perguntado para o proprietário, eu falei, escuta, você tem um aplicativo onde você faz o download disso? Ele, não, estou preparando algo muito profissional. Eu pensei, meu filho, enquanto você está preparando um profissional, eu vou fazer aqui que é o que mexe no meu bolso, porque eu não sou paga para, né, aqui você ganha. E para quem vem de F1, né, assim, você ganha aqui... Naquela época de pandemia, gente, eu comecei ganhando $7 por hora, depois eu tive um acréscimo de 10 e depois eu tive um acréscimo de 13. Eu tive, não, eu fui lá e eu briguei e eu
Você
falei,
começou
ó...
com 7.
7
Interessante. Deixa eu anotar isso, porque isso é uma coisa legal.
por
Eu
hora,
tava tentando
sendo que aqui é
outro
15,
insight.
Raquel, aqui é 15. Só que quando eles sabem que você não tem, aí eu fiquei um pouco na dúvida do que eu falar também, porque a F1 não pode trabalhar, né? Só que aí eu fui nessa agência e paguei a agência para me mandar para 3 lugares. E eu falei, ó, eu sou enjoada, eu gosto de lugar bem organizado, e eu fui assim muito bem vestida, né? Então eles já sabem. E aí eles mandaram para lugares que o chefe era o dono. Eu falei, olha, vocês não estão entendendo, eu não vou trabalhar desse jeito, eu quero lugar assim, assim, assim. E aí a menina, né, me passou outros lugares para ir.
Qual o nome da empresa? Era uma agência?
É uma
ajuda?
agência que cobra... Helena alguma coisa, eu te mando no... Helena's Employment, alguma coisa assim. Eu te mando no seu WhatsApp.
Agência.
Mas e daí, assim, né?
E é mais brasileiro, assim? É para público brasileiro?
Que brasileiro? Não tem nada de brasileiro. Lá eles não falam brasileiro. Porque essa é outra coisa também. Quando eu cheguei, eu não tinha... Você foi erro do percurso não, acerto do percurso, mas eu cheguei e falei, Gustavo, se você fica com amigos brasileiros, você vai voltar para o Brasil, porque para mudar de país é mudar de país real.
Eu mal tenho amigo brasileiro também. Mal
E,
tenho amigo brasileiro.
Primeiro que é complicado por causa da mentalidade. Você, Raquel, é fora da curva real, porque não tem gente que seja assim. Sabe, eu conheço médicos aqui que são muito difíceis, sabe? Assim, vivem no sofrimento, na escassez, e eu não consigo entender a mente deles. Então, assim, não é meu problema, sabe? Desde que eu esteja voando. E aí, ontem, eu conheci uma pessoa que falou, nossa, você está há 3 anos aqui, você já conseguiu isso tudo? Eu falei assim, nossa, eu me sinto uma tartaruga. Pelo meu potencial, eu já poderia estar muito mais longe. Porque eu sei que eu sou capaz. Só que quando a gente se coloca, é o que eu falei, o erro meu foi aquele início, porque aí você entra numa máquina de fazer, e minha vida era uma loucura, porque 8 às 4, trabalhando de garçonete, né? Primeiro que eu tinha que passar por 3 trens e 1 ônibus. Imagina isso, né? O tempo que você gasta no deslocamento é gigantesco. 1h30 todo dia para chegar lá, mas andando daria aí 1h40. Eu chegava, eu tinha que treinar as pessoas que eu tinha no Brasil contratadas, né? E eu tinha que cuidar do contrato no meio termo disso, porque eu tinha aí uns 7, 8 contratos andando, né, em andamento, e assim, ainda não tinha nem o IAN da empresa, mas eu já estava recebendo, eu já estava movimentando a empresa, eu já estava instruindo o povo, e eu sempre gostei dos meus jantares luxuosos, né, Raquel? Todo mundo que me conhece sabe que a Grace Kelly, ela faz jus ao nome dela, né? Porque, afinal de contas, minha mãe não me deu um nome de princesa à toa. Eu só não tenho o príncipe ainda, o príncipe tá chegando, entendeu? Deus tá dando uma organizada nele. Chegou um Shrek, que eu achei que seria o príncipe, mas aí não foi, entendeu? Eu achei né, que ele seria o salvador da minha vida, mas não deu certo. Então, enfim, Deus tá planejando isso. Mas ainda tinha isso, as saídas. Então, assim, eu nunca abri mão daquilo que alimentava o meu ser, porque eu sou uma mulher que gosta disso, você sabe. Eu amo eu tomo água, mas a minha água não é qualquer água, é água na taça. Eu não, né? A pessoa que vem aqui em casa, né? Você sabe, peraí, ó. Como é que chama ali? Eu tô com um negocinho, outro celular no trem. Tá vendo? Ó, o chazinho é na... Ai, Raquel, você tem que vir aqui em casa. Você não veio aqui ainda, né?
Eu tenho, mas eu quero muito... Sabe que eu queria muito? Que meu esposo conhecesse você.
Então, traz... Olha, segunda-feira eu tenho grupo de oração aqui.
Sabe? Eu acho que ia trocar muito ideia.
Raquel, vem na segunda-feira, 6 horas da tarde. Toda segunda, às 6 horas, a gente tem um encontro do QGR, que chama Quartel General do Reino. Que é aquele, né, do pessoal do Pablo. E você pode fazer, como você, boa líder que é, você vem e você ministra o que você quiser naquele dia. Normalmente, como eu faço aqui? A gente fala o que a gente é grato na semana, né? O que a gente conquistou naquela semana. E o que a gente está buscando. Então, te dar um exemplo. Teve uma pessoa que eu conheci no rooftop que veio aqui, a Anne é uma amigaça minha hoje, ela tá grávida, linda, uma pessoa maravilhosa, que Deus me trouxe, assim. E aí eu comentei do estudo bíblico, elas falaram, ai, vamos, não sei o que, vieram, tal. Ela veio, né? E aí no dia, ela falou, ai, eu quero pedir a Deus a bênção, porque eu tô grávida, mas eu já perdi um neném. E ela abriu isso muito lindo para mim. Aí nós pedimos a Deus, e aí a gente abre a Bíblia, assim, pede o Espírito Santo, né, para dar a palavra, a iluminação, para abrir nosso olhar, né, para aquilo assentar no nosso coração da melhor forma possível, que a gente consiga ter um entendimento. E abriu. Quando abriu, estava lá, reconstruindo o templo. E falando, né, que não importasse as dores que tinha passado antes, que esse templo seria reconstruído. Eu só não lembro a passagem, que as que me marcaram eu sei. Da minha vida, assim, que Deus é muito preciso, né? Quando Ele quer, Ele te mostra bem, bem ali, né? Então, e a gente faz assim, a pessoa não acredita, né? Muitas vezes fala, não, mas como assim? Vem muito certinho. Mas às vezes, assim, a gente vai por alguma coisa que está sendo direcionada. Então, né, às vezes são mulheres mais solteiras, a gente vai para a área da Esther, né? Aquele livro para poder, enfim.
Sim, é maravilhoso. Eu conheço um livro que chama-se. Tem 2 livros, só que eles são. Os 2 são em português. Eu não sei se o primeiro já foi traduzido para inglês.
Uhum.
Enfim, porque eu não sei se tem, né, gente que fala inglês ou se todo mundo fala português, eu não sei. Mas chama-se Mulheres do Velho Testamento. São 2, tem Mulheres do Velho Testamento e do Novo. Aí ele faz assim, um estudo bíblico mais da história das mulheres. Desde, assim, que você vai ver Sara, sabe? Você vai ver várias Esther. É muito legal. E, assim, você vai entendendo, né, as representações, né? Porque também as pessoas que têm essas histórias narradas, né? Elas também, a narrativa tem um significado, né? É muito, muito legal. Muito legal. Depois eu compartilho com você. Não sei se eu tenho aqui.
Vai ser muito show,
Mas
assim.
muito legal. Mas
Isso,
essa segunda-feira, né? Você tem toda segunda-feira. Por que
são
eu tô
todas as
perguntando? Porque
segundas.
segunda-feira
Pode ser 6,
eu vou
pode
estar
ser
chegando em
7. Na verdade,
Filadélfia.
era terça, sabe, Raquel? E até se você quiser mudar essa semana, não tem problema. Mas era terça. Só que aí, assim, como eu tenho essa coisa de às vezes sair e tal, aí na terça-feira já é um pouquinho mais complicado. Toda segunda eu tô descansando. Então, na segunda é um dia, assim, que ficou para isso. Mas
Segunda-feira é um dia ótimo para mim, só que na semana que vem. Por quê? Sabe por quê? Porque essa segunda-feira agora eu vou estar chegando de Filadélfia, porque a gente vai viajar. Inclusive, eu vou para DC hoje de noite, eu, meu marido e o amigo dele que está aqui em casa. A gente vai para DC de carro, e aí a gente vai passar por Philly no domingo. Segunda-feira a gente vai voltar.
ai, que
E
delícia.
aí eu não sei que hora a gente vai chegar, né?
Você sabe
Vai
que
ser legal,
Philly é a cidade da Grace Kelly, né? Ela nasceu lá.
Que
máximo! E você sabe que eu não conheço Filadélfia
massa.
ainda. Eu fui para Washington DC, até um dos restaurantes que eu mais adoro, o King Crab, que eles têm crab stones, que é o caranguejo, mas é aquele que você come ele friozinho, assim, sabe? Nossa, o melhor que eu já comi na vida foi lá, em Washington DC. Agora, a Filadélfia é onde ela nasceu. Então, mas aí se você não puder nessa segunda, eu já troco para terça.
Deixa eu ver. Terça-feira. Sim, deixa eu ver.
E Raquel, não deixa de fazer isso
Poderia
que você
ser
está fazendo, não.
Poderia ser no dia. Para mim vai ser melhor no dia 27, que é uma segunda-feira mesmo. Só que não nessa semana, na outra.
Tá, beleza, fica assim então. Mas deixa eu te contar
eu
uma
vou
coisa.
até anotar, mas que horas é? 6 horas? Deixa eu anotar
6.
aqui. Se não tá no Google Agenda, tem que estar no Google Agenda.
Então, mas não deixa de fazer esse negócio não, sabe por quê? Número 1, você é muito comunicativa. E você tem esse jeito, assim, natural seu de auxiliar as pessoas, de quase que é um jeito acadêmico mesmo, né? De ensinar, de tal. Então, assim, quem sabe não tá aí, né, a sua pegada. Faz, assim, compartilha o máximo que você conseguir e daí você já vê o nicho que você pode começar uma mentoria para você monetizar isso, entendeu? Que daí, né, você consegue ter cada vez mais seguidores. Ou de repente você já tem, não seguidores, quando eu falo seguidores, não importa a quantidade. Você já consegue ver a demanda de mercado que tem, e aí você consegue dar uma consultoria perante a necessidade que o mercado está pedindo naquele momento. Entende o que eu estou querendo dizer? Que tem alguns streamings que você ganha a partir da quantidade de viewers, né? De pessoas que visualizam.
Sim.
Mas até chegar nesse ponto, você tem que investir. Se esse for o seu objetivo, dá para fazer também. Né? É por isso que estamos com essa agência e tal, os meninos são muito potentes nisso e tal. Mas, caso você queira auxiliar o outro e ver o seu toque, né? O toque que você falou que mudou a vida do outro, e para isso tem que ser uma mentoria fechada, alguma coisa assim, daí você também pode começar para já, mas num outro formato, entendeu? Só assim, não deixa de fazer
Uhum.
isso paralelo com as suas coisas, porque eu vejo que você tem isso, sabe? Seu olho brilha, você tem esse dom de extrair das pessoas. Primeiro que você sabe ver o que há no outro. Então, você sabe puxar o que o outro pode somar com os demais, né? Buscando esse transbordo. E segundo, que você consegue ouvir muito bem. Então, eu vi que nem hora nenhuma você me interrompeu, a não ser que.
Eu sou muito curiosa. Eu trabalhei muito com pesquisa, então eu gosto muito de escutar histórias. Mas o desafio do entrevistador também é buscar ao máximo ser neutro e você criar esse espaço de conforto para a pessoa poder se abrir, né? Só que
Uhum.
você não pode também fazer no Zoom tem um desafio que é a questão da latência do som que a gente tem que deixar no mudo, porque senão isso às vezes acaba cortando o seu áudio. Mas é um trabalho que eu amo, né? E
E faz
escutatória,
em múltiplos, sabe? Por
a gente tem
exemplo.
muito oratória, mas a gente não tem escutatória, né?
Pois é.
Escutativa, né?
Mas faz em múltiplos. Por exemplo, eu deixei meu Mac com você no Zoom. Um dos meus iPhones está no Insta Live. O outro tá gravando vídeo normal, porque daí eu consigo upload no meu canal do YouTube, entendeu? Então, assim, aí uma pessoa ia falar: mas eu não tenho aquele que faz o disparo para todas as plataformas para pagar, não sei o quê. A pessoa complexa, ela arruma problema e dificuldade buscando a perfeição. A pessoa que faz, ela não quer saber como, ela vai fazer o trem que precisa naquela hora ali, entendeu? Então,
a gente tem que ser assim, que a gente
você
vai
soma
melhorar.
muito.
Gente, mas vamos combinar então. Você me
Vamos
passa o
sim.
endereço. Eu não tenho mais o seu endereço, você me passa o endereço.
Eu te encaminho de novo.
E aí, não nessa segunda-feira, não segunda-feira. A
Alright.
ideia é eu poder compartilhar algo, né? Então,
Uhum.
eu vou trazer uma palavra, eu vou trazer algo que eu quero compartilhar. Geralmente eu compartilho muito uma coisa mais assim que eu tô passando. E que de
Aham.
repente aquilo vai ser útil para as pessoas, porque eu acho que também a gente se conecta com algo que é prático, né?
Verdade.
Então, eu vou pedir ao Senhor, assim, sabedoria para ter esse momento. E aí vocês jantam, como é que é? Porque eu posso trazer alguma coisa também.
Então, normalmente eu faço um pão de queijo, ou tem, sabe, algum snack,
Pão
alguma
de
nuts.
queijo! Que
Menina,
delícia!
amada, você não sabe não, eu tô a melhor do pão de queijo, tá? Não, mas eu tô muito metida, porque meu pão de
Você tem
queijo
que
até
abrir um
quando eu
business de pão
erro,
de queijo.
amada, até quando eu erro, ele sai bom. Outro dia, eu não tinha ovos aqui, eu tinha só claras, pois eu fiz com as claras e ficou sensacional. Tô falando pra você,
Sério, e deu certo.
uai, depois que eu comprei esses mega
Você.
batedeira, acabou.
É só de mulheres ou essas mulheres?
Não tem isso.
É só de mulheres, não.
Raquel, até conheci, eu contei ontem pro pessoal. Ontem eu conheci uma pessoa, assim, que estava interessada em mim e tudo, e aí quando eu falei, ele falou assim, eu gostaria de ir, de participar. Aí, do estudo bíblico, né? Aí, logo depois ele falou assim, que horas você dorme? Tipo assim, querendo saber um pouco mais de mim. Eu falei assim, olha, eu detectei que a gente não tem muito em comum, não. Você não gosta de jantar, você não bebe, e eu ainda não tô nesse estágio. Então, assim, para namoro, para alguma outra
Direto.
coisa, muito direta. Eu falei, para alguma outra coisa, isso não vai rolar. Agora, se você quiser vir no estudo bíblico sem nenhuma outra intenção, você é bem-vindo. Então, assim, entendeu? Eu sou assim mesmo, porque eu acho que a
Tem que ser
clareza,
direta, tem que ser
a
direta.
assertividade, ela salva o tempo do meu, principalmente, do outro também, né? Mas,
Com certeza.
mas
E a nossa
assim,
cultura brasileira não tem isso, né? Então a gente tem que pegar, tem que exercitar isso aí. Eu vou ter que ir.
tá bom,
Eu
combinado.
agradeço demais a nossa conversa.
Amada, adorei
Eu
também.
confirmo com você, não segunda-feira, na outra. Segunda-feira está confirmado. Você falou às 6 horas da tarde, é isso?
Pode ser 7 também. Eu
Você
tenho
só
que ver com o
me.
pessoal de Long Island, que
6.
normalmente vem um pessoal de Long Island e de New Jersey. Aí, se eles estiverem vindo,
Que legal.
aí eu tenho que trocar para 7, porque para eles não conseguem 6. É que 6 para mim é um horário assim
Tá.
sensacional, porque daí a gente fica até umas
Entendi.
7 e
Eu
pouquinho.
poderia convidar meu esposo, então.
Por
Se ele puder ir
gentileza,
também, meu
vai ser
esposo.
ótimo. Nossa, muito bom ter uma,
Tá,
né?
então legal. E
Tá.
aí é isso, tá, assim, pela minha parte está confirmado. Eu estarei no Brooklyn, aí eu vou pegar, eu vou ir para cá. Vou ir para aí, né? Aí você tá em Hell's
Hell's
Kitchen, né?
Kitchen, na 42 com a 12.
Show.
Raquelzinha,
Obrigada,
adorei falar
Deus.
com você. Um
Eu vou
beijo.
compartilhar com você a gravação
Tá
depois.
bom, combinado. Um beijo, viu?
Um
Com
beijo.
Deus. Tchau.
Tchau.
Tchau, tchau. Ai, gente, que delícia. Não, vocês têm noção, não. Falar com a Raquelzinha foi o máximo. Nossa, sabe assim,